I'd like to talk to you a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of the things that happened from my side of the story. There's been a lot written and a lot said about what happened to me, but never from my side.
Oh my gosh, this has been in like the works for a really long time, and I'm so excited to finally say that I'm joined with my really good friend Natasha today. Natasha, you can introduce yourself.
Hi, Mary. How are you? Great to be
I'm
here.
good. Good, great to have you, girl. Me and Natasha have literally, I know I just said this, but we've been planning this for so long, and I'm
I
glad we
know
finally got it to happen.
two Elvis fans. When you get together, it makes things happen, right?
Literally, yeah, Elvis magic at this point. We were
Absolutely.
so busy and all of that jazz. I mean, you're doing great stuff all the time, which we will talk about, but I'm glad that we finally were able to make time and sit down.
I wouldn't miss it. Wouldn't miss it.
Yes. All right. So I wanted to start off. This is you're my second guest in this like new series. I'm talking about like connection and just like connections that Elvis has led me to within like the community and all of that jazz. So I wrote down like a couple questions that I've been wanting to ask like guests that I have on. Are you okay with answering some?
Of course. Yeah. Fire away.
Awesome. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to know is what like how did you find Elvis? The classic question, what connected you to him?
Well, actually, it's a little bit of a long story. As you know, I have cerebral palsy,
Mhm.
and my mom did physiotherapy with me every day when I was younger. And it was very painful and very monotonous. And one day she decided she's going to put the radio on. I said, Mommy, who's that? And she stopped doing physio with me and she said, Oh, that's Elvis. And I said, Play it again because I didn't realize it was radio.
Yeah.
And she realized when she was doing my physio that my muscles were getting looser and I was relaxing. So she went out and she bought a cassette tape for me because back then it was cassettes. And the rest is history. I heard one song and I was hooked.
Is That's Elvis magic. Are you
That's Elvis magic. The power of Elvis.
that's
Power of
amazing.
Elvis.
He physically like calmed your body.
Absolutely. Yeah. And still does to this day. Still does. When I'm stressed, when my body hurts, I'll put on, a Elvis song and I'll sit and I'll listen to it. And it's like instant. You just instantly makes me feel better. Soothes me, calms me, everything.
That's
So
insane. That's insane. Because you always hear people talk about like, you're having a bad day, you put them on and you instantly feel
yeah,
better. But then
yeah.
it's like that's even deeper. Like he literally touched you in a way when you didn't even know who he was. Like he was already
No,
making you feel.
no, not at that time. I was like 6 years old at the time. So I had no idea who he was. My parents were not really that into Elvis. My mom a little bit, but like I said, just heard him on the radio and that was it.
That's always so like for me, my mom like introduced me to him, so I just always knew who he was. But for people who have their own story of like finding him on their own, like without like a parent or a grandparent or something saying like, "Here you go, like this is
Yeah.
good." Like you found it to be good and you were hooked on it like by yourself, which I just think is really cool.
And I'm sure it was the same for you once you were introduced to him. And I think that happen is so true for everybody. Once you hear him, that's all it takes. It's a forever thing. It's a forever love. It's a forever interest
Absolutely.
that you have. And he's touched my
Absolutely.
life in so many beautiful ways. He's brought me
Absolutely.
so many friendships like he has with you, same thing.
Yes, yes.
And it's this community, it's this instant community that you have. And for me, having a disability, it's been like instant acceptance. It
Mm.
doesn't matter about your disability, it doesn't matter about the wheelchair I sit in. If you're an Elvis fan, you go for Elvis week and you have this instant family and everybody loves you and everybody gets along with you. And it just makes you feel like it's too bad the world wasn't like that. When you step outside of that Elvis bubble,
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
it's magic. It's magic.
True. That's the only way you can describe it. He literally gives you a place to belong and place that you
Yeah,
feel like you're saying, accepted and heard and validated. Because a lot of us growing up as Elvis fans were not, like we were told we were the weird ones and the
right, right.
outsiders. And isn't that crazy? I was talking to a friend the other day and we were talking about how like we used to have no friends because of him, but now we have all of our people because of
Oh,
him.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So how did your like you started off, then you like found out who he was and you were hooked on him. How did being a fan, like a lifetime of being a fan, lead you to creating your dream show with EPE? Can you talk about that a little bit? What like manifested that for you, or like what sparked that motivation for you to create that?
Well, it actually for me started becoming a licensee started when I was 19 years old. And
Wow.
I think I was at that time the youngest licensee that they had.
Yeah.
It started as doing artwork of Elvis. So that's what it really started as. I did portraits of Elvis and things like that.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, so that's how it started with that. And then I designed the Elvis Next Generation logo and actually put it on T-shirts just for myself at the time. I didn't think of anything other than for me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, young people started coming up to me saying, you know, where did you get that shirt? How can I get that shirt? And it really started to, you know, manifest from that. And then then I designed a cap. And then a lot of the ETAs started wearing the cap and wearing it around and things like that. And then it just kind of went from there. And people just started gravitating to it, you know?
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
So, and the slogan for Elvis the Next Generation is "Dream Big, Elvis Did," because I believe in the power of dreaming and believing in yourself, and I wanted to create something that was inspiring.
That's
So
incredible. That's awesome. I wear my shirt all the time. I want you to know. I
I
wear
know
my
I
shirt.
see you wearing it. I'm so honored. Thank you so much.
I do. I love the shirt. I love the slogan because as a young person, I resonate so deeply with that, and I think that you hit the nail on the head with that. Um, but that's crazy that your story, so it evolved from you just making artwork because you had a passion for that, and
Right.
like
Yeah.
tying in those little slogans with that, to creating a whole what is now show for Elvis Week that focuses on young people and their passions when it comes to Elvis Presley and his legacy.
Exactly. Like I said, all started from a T-shirt. Believe it or
Wow.
not. You know, and then it just you were there at the first show
Yeah.
and you know seeing these young people, you know, we had young musicians on stage like Hator. I know you know Hator very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and it just kind of I wanted to make it very relatable, so young people would connect not just to Elvis but why we love Elvis,
Yes.
you know, why it's important to come to Graceland, why we need to visit Graceland, you know. And I think that, you know, and doing it the first year, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how people were going to relate to it, if anyone was going to show up first.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think EPE was a little bit at first wondering too, because it was so different.
Yeah.
And thankfully, you know, people like yourselves, you know, showed up and liked it and understood it. And now we're going into year 3. So
Yay, I'm so happy when I saw that like you saw my live reaction when I made that video and I saw it on the schedule. I was just like so proud, so
I love the
happy.
reaction. I love the reaction.
It was great. I mean, like it truly to me, and I'm not just saying that because I do love you and I, support you and everything like that. I don't want people to think that, I'm biased or whatever, but I truly mean it when I say like this event, if you haven't seen it, you haven't been to it, you haven't been to Elvis Week. I know so many people who are going this year for the first time, so many young people from the Instagram community as well. This event you have to go to. It's a must because it's so, as a young person, it is so heartwarming to see other young people getting up there and saying, you know, this is why I do what I do, and this is why Elvis still matters in the year,
Right.
2024, whatever it is. Like, this is how he's impacting my life. And we always talk about like Baz in the movie and how he opened that door for so many young people to like get it. Cause I feel like so many people are like, why are you so like into it the way that you are? And this your event like showcases why it's such a big deal for us. And I
Oh,
love that.
thank you so much. You know, it's
Yes.
something that I'm so passionate about, and I'm passionate about connecting with others. The main purpose for me is to connect to young people and to, you
Yes.
know, not I'm not saying to reintroduce Elvis because everybody knows who Elvis is. Make it relatable to youth. Make them, you know, hopefully visit Graceland and experience the magic of Elvis. You know,
Yeah.
um, I'm really. It's not so much about it being an impersonation. It's more about being an appreciation. So
Yeah.
you have the ETAs that, you know, everybody knows and loves, of course, but you also have artists who are influenced by Elvis, you know, which I think is
Right.
equally as important.
I love that you bring in people who, not only because ETAs are one thing, like people who build their career off of, that sort of impact in that way, but then
Right.
also people who are influenced by Elvis and his life and his career, like so many other artists are or were in the past. Like so many artists were
Oh
influenced by
yeah,
Elvis.
huge.
So
I get emails from singers and songwriters and kids who love Elvis, and and sending me the most amazing emails saying how they saw the show, they loved the show, and there's so much talent out there. There's
yeah.
so much, and it's just so heartwarming to see the effect that Elvis has on literally every age, every
Yeah.
nationality. It's remarkable, really.
I really loved that first year, and you might have done it last year too. I forget, but I loved the first year when all the people who performed or did something in the show were able to like stand up and talk about like Elvis's impact in their own lives and like what Elvis means to them because it's different for everybody. Like you might still be a performer, but the way Elvis impacts that side of your life might be different from somebody else or whatever. So that was like very validating to me as a young person. That's why I loved it so much because I was able to hear like, oh, that's how Elvis touches you. That's how Elvis impacts you. And that was really cool to me.
But don't you find though, it's like even though we have our differences, Elvis
Mhm.
is like our common thread.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Common thread. It doesn't matter, you, the kind of genre of music that you like or anything like that. It's once you say Elvis Presley, it's an instant. Oh, I love him. Oh,
Yep.
he's my guy or he's my hero. You
I
know,
love it.
and that's so validating, not just for him, but for us as fans.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I would people from other countries, people from I mean, like, we don't live anywhere close to each other. Like, we would have never even met, like, we would never even know each other if it weren't for him, and, like, so many friendships that I have are all because of him. It's just you're the perfect person for this series too, because this is the whole
Oh,
point of it.
thank
It's
you.
just how he connects us, and I love that. You're so right, like, you could be so different personality-wise, but the minute that you start talking about Elvis, you have something in common, and then
Yeah.
he makes a friendship out of that, and that's so awesome.
Yeah. And it's not just a friendship, it's a lifelong friendship.
Yeah,
And that's the thing about even being an Elvis fan that I try to convey to people is it's not just you're not just a fan, it's a lifelong love that you have for this person,
absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely. Yep.
And for me, and I'm sure you feel the same way, it's not just Elvis for me. I love his family. I love who they are. I loved Lisa deeply. I love Priscilla. I love the whole. It's not just limited to just Elvis. I
Yeah,
think I think because Elvis was, of course, he was brilliant in his own right, but his family and who they were and who they still are a big part of who shaped Elvis. Lisa
absolutely.
and Lisa was everything to him, and Priscilla, with her work with, what she did with Graceland all these years,
Mhm.
it's something that I think is something that should always be remembered and appreciated. And that's why we have, Graceland and this place to go to every year.
Yeah,
And I think it's no other entertainer has that. You look at Michael Jackson, who's the king of pop. You look at Paul McCartney. They're all icons in their own right, but nobody has the same connection as Elvis. And I think
yep.
I don't think it's limited to just Elvis's phenomenon. I think it's just who the Presleys were as a whole and who they still are.
Yeah, we're very, very, very lucky in that way to have so much for us who've never gotten to meet him or see him or anything. Like we have so much that we can look back on and go do and see that a lot of people who are fans, like you're saying, of other people don't really get.
Yeah,
But you segue perfectly because I wanted to talk about Lisa with you because you have some great stories about her that if you're comfortable sharing, I'd love for other people to hear. But I
sure.
love that you're talking about how his family is so important to you because
Yeah,
when Lisa passed away, um, I took it as hard as I would if a member of my own family passed away, and I feel like a lot of other people feel that way. I know you do.
Yeah,
That his family is in a way our family because he is our family. When you love somebody like we love
absolutely.
him, it's like it's like he is a part of you and a part of your own
Yeah.
home in your heart. And so when she passed away, we all I know we took it all very like it was
Oh,
a very, very hard time. Very hard time.
devastating,
Yeah.
devastating. I mean, of course, for her family, of course, for Riley and the twins, and for Priscilla,
Mhm.
devastating for them. But for us as fans, especially if I know you can relate to this because you had an opportunity to meet Lisa.
Mhm.
She had this incredible presence about her,
Yeah.
that you just, I was very fortunate. I got to spend quite a bit of time with her over the years, and a lot of that time was private. So there wasn't a
Mm.
lot of, she would do meet and greets or that sort of thing, and then she would do a
Right.
private thing with just me.
Right.
So we spent a lot of time talking about not some. I never really asked her about Elvis. Everybody asks me that question. Well, did you
Yeah.
talk to her about Elvis? And I never did. We
I love
never
that.
spoke about Elvis because I wanted her to always know that I was there for her, that I loved
Yes.
her for her.
Yes.
Of course, I love her father. Of course, there's that element to it. But I mean, whenever I went to her shows, I was there cheering for her, and I admired her as a songwriter, as a woman in general. She had so much strength and
Absolutely.
charisma, and the thing about her was, like I said in my speech the first year, if she loved you all the way. There was no middle ground with Lisa, and she was wonderful to me. She was wonderful to me for many years, and I miss her terribly,
Mm.
as do her family, and as does fans around the world. We all miss her greatly.
Yes,
You know?
agreed. I agree. And that's something that not envy, but I am so I don't know, maybe envy like when I met her it was in a fan situation where like I was lucky to have the time that I had with her. Like I did, really have to try and fight for that time because there were
Yeah,
so many
yeah,
people. But I will say like I never really like openly talked about this because I don't really know how to put it into words. But when I met her, it was like one of the best moments of my life, but also one of like it made me feel a way that like I've never felt because I wanted her so much, like you just said, to know that I didn't just care about her because of her dad. And I
right.
wasn't just there to get her autograph to like sell it on eBay or something. Like I wanted her to know that I was so thankful to her for what she personally on her own independently has done for her dad, but also like for just being an example of like such courage and strength and
Oh, huge,
um
huge. I mean,
yes,
yeah, I mean, you look at her music, you look at, her first album, To Whom It May Concern, I mean, I'm sure there was every record executive out
yeah,
there wanting her to be exactly like
like her
Elvis.
dad. Yeah, yeah.
And for her to kind of say, no, I'm going to be me,
Yes, totally.
that takes an incredible amount of strength and determination to do that.
Yes,
So, and I wanted her to know that it was a
yes.
genuine, sincere. It had nothing to do with her being Lisa Marie Presley. It was her
Right.
as a human being. It's not just them being the Presleys. I
Right.
genuinely love them as people.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
I love that. Such special stories that you have too and time that we wish. Because I know for me, like, after I did meet her, I was like, "Oh, man, if, like, I ever get the chance again," because all I had time for really was just, like, to simply, like, shake her hand, to look at her and say, like, "Thank you for what you do, Lisa." Like, that's literally all I got to say. Um, and so I remember thinking after I met her, like, oh, if she ever tours again, or like if I ever get to meet her, if I ever get to talk to her again, maybe I could send her a letter or like I'll figure it out somehow. But I want her to know how I feel. And then she passed away 4 days later. And it was the biggest shock of all time. But in that literal like split, maybe 1 minute that I had with her, I felt so connected to her, like you're saying, like enough so that when she died, I felt like I lost a friend already. Like
Oh, yeah. She was so unique and so authentic.
yes,
There was no I'm a celebrity or I'm the daughter of. She genuinely cared about, the fans and why we loved not just Elvis, but why we loved her family,
Yeah.
you know? And she did everything she could to make herself as accessible as she could. I
Yes.
mean, I know with me, there was this one instance where I was at one of her shows and the venue was not wheelchair accessible.
Okay.
And I thought, well, I'm just gonna leave. I had a meet and greet pass, and I thought, well, I'm just gonna leave because it's not accessible. And she was signing some CDs for this huge line of people, you know. And she turned and she saw me leaving, and she got up from her table and she put down her Sharpie. She got up from her table. My friend was in the line, so she told me all of this. She got up from her table and she came out, left outside the venue and came to the parking lot as I was going to my car, and it was pouring rain. I mean, it was raining buckets, and she got soaking wet. But she came right out to my car. She felt so bad that I couldn't get to the meet and greet, but she came out in the pouring rain just for me to hug me and to tell me that she loved me.
You guys, you were friends, but she didn't have to do that for somebody who wasn't
No,
like,
absolutely not. I mean, she had a whole line of people waiting for her
yeah,
signature, and she certainly didn't have to come out in the pouring rain
yeah,
for me. But that those are the kind of things that she would do, and that was just who she was. Her heart was huge, and she just loved people so deeply. And I don't know, and the same is true for Elvis. You hear stories about that all the time of how he would buy a Cadillac for a
yep,
stranger.
yep,
He didn't have to know you to love you.
yeah.
And it
Oh,
and
yes.
it was the same with Lisa. She didn't have to know you to love you. Her heart was just so big.
That made me emotional when you said that because it is so true. And like I was gonna say, for as much as people say like, "Oh, Lisa's not like her dad. Lisa doesn't do blah 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 like her dad," she's just like her dad.
Oh,
That's
100%. Yeah,
she is such
100%.
from following in her own footsteps that she wanted to do and being uniquely herself and saying no when people told her you should be doing this,
Yep.
down to the wire. I mean, that was her dad. Like the heart and the generosity and the love that was just poured out. The day that I met her, like the 4 days before that she passed away, she must have not been feeling great, but she still went down the entire line of fans and made sure everybody was talked to and treated like they, which that she cared about them, and that blows my mind.
Absolutely. No, and that's just the way that she was.
Yeah.
It didn't matter how many people were around. She made a point of even if you only had a few minutes with her, she
Yeah.
made those few minutes seem like a lifetime.
Yeah, I'm proof of that.
And yeah, and you've experienced it yourself, so
Mhm.
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Um, do you have any like Elvis memory or memory related back to Elvis? It could be something that happened in Memphis or something that happened just like, in your own home state. Do you have like a special Elvis memory that means a lot to you, like a favorite?
I have so many memories. I've been going to Graceland since I was 7 years old, so that's many Elvis weeks and
Yeah,
birthday celebrations and that.
right.
So, and I'm sure you can say the same thing about when you're there. Every year that you go there, you create a new memory.
Yes.
And it's something that you keep forever. Um, if I had to choose one, it would probably be well, when I was a little girl. I like most little girls, they want to go to Disney World. That's their
Yeah.
biggest place, Disney World, and I had
Yep.
no interest in Disney World. I wanted to see Graceland.
Sounds
That
like
was
me.
what I wanted. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I bugged my parents relentlessly to take me to Graceland, and I was 7 at the time, and
Okay.
we got there really really late, and I made them take me to the gate. I had to see the gates,
Oh,
and I still to this day do that. I will not leave Memphis until I touch the gate. So it's just things like that. You have that memory of when you were 7 years old, and experiencing that. And when you're 7 years old, everything looks bigger.
yeah,
When you're a child, everything looks massive. You
right.
know, but that feeling of Graceland, and the feeling you get when you visit, you still have that awe, that excitement, that the thrill of being there.
Absolutely.
It's magical. It's
Yeah.
magical.
Every time. It never loses that ever. Like you're saying, you could go multiple times a year even, and every time you go, it just still feels like you're being welcomed home. And I love that so
Yeah.
much about, yeah. Oh, I love that. And to have that like experience as a little kid too is very, very special.
It is. It is really special, and that's what I tell people all the time. You know, they always say to me, "Well, how many more times are you going to go to Graceland? And how many times have you been?" And it's just like, listen, there's no number. There's no.
Yeah, always.
It's going to
Till I
be
can't anymore.
I can't anymore, and
Yes,
I don't even want to think of that day because it's just
right.
it. But I tell people all the time, it's just you have to go. You have to experience to know Elvis. The best way to know Elvis is to visit Graceland.
Yep.
You
Because
know,
that's him. That was him.
that's
That
him.
was
That's him.
such a big part of him. Yeah.
Here we are, what, 2024, and we're still, celebrating him and loving him. And that's something that will live on forever. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
It's the most beautiful thing and something that I'm so lucky to do every day, something that you do so well every day, and I'm so proud to be
Oh,
able to watch you do what you do, and I'm so thankful to have people like you in this community because you are truly like you don't just preach it, you're working towards it every day and you're working to keep it alive and well. And that's something that's made me proud to know you, but proud to also be your friend. So
oh, thank you. Well, I'm proud of you. Like I said when we first met, it's funny because even though I didn't know you on a personal level at that point, I knew you from your channel.
yes.
And I watch it religiously and I
Thank
love
you.
your content. It's so well thought out. It's so from the heart,
Thank
and
you.
that's something that you know. And there's so many people, it's this huge community of people that have this genuine love for this man,
Yeah.
and we're all a part of that Elvis story.
Yes.
We're all a part of even though he's not here physically, it's our job to make sure that we do whatever we can so that he stays vibrant, alive, and relevant. And that's what I strive
Amen.
to do every day, and that's what you strive to do every day.
Amen.
And I think it's a team effort, and
Yes.
it's something that it's I say it all the time, it's a love like no other.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
it
absolutely.
love that is just and people ask me that all the time, why do you love him so much? What is it about Elvis? And
I
it's
can't explain it.
can't explain it. It's this magic. It's I'm so blessed. It's a sense of hope and belonging, and it's a blessing for me to be a fan of his. It's because it's brought so much into my life, so much positivity. Even with my education, when I was in high school, I got a scholarship from drawing a portrait of Elvis.
Did you really?
So he helped me with my education. So in every facet of my life, he has been there helping me and inspiring me. And so with Elvis the Next Generation, this is my way to say thank you and to make sure do whatever I can to make sure that he's remembered and honored with love and integrity in the same way that you do, and all these other amazing Elvis fans that are out there that go to Elvis Week every year. We all have that same common goal.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know he never really thought that he did anything lasting, and if he could just see that not only is he remembered, but he's remembered in such like you're saying with such integrity and such amazing ways for all of like the amazing things that he done, but just the amazing person that he was because of people like you and because of the things that you're doing. I just think he would be blown away, and I
You.
don't think he would ever even begin to imagine that this is what his legacy looks like in 2024, but I believe that he's in such good hands with fans like you and me and other people who work so hard to do
Yeah,
what we do
of
for
course.
him.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're all a part of, like I said, we're all a part of the Elvis story, and we're a part of him, and he's a part of us. And I think that that's something that is so beautiful.
I just want to thank you one more time for taking the time to come out and talk to me and share your thoughts. And just thank you again for taking such good care of somebody that we love so much in the
Oh,
amazing ways that you do.
thank
Um,
you, thank you.
Of course. And I look forward to this year to the Next Generation show. If you guys are watching and you're looking for a fun event, you got it. You got to check it
Yes,
out. You got to check it out.
Please, yeah, for sure. This year we've got some really great surprises, and every year I want to try to make it better and better and better, and
Yes.
make it, a great experience for all the fans, and we're all working really hard to make that happen. So, come on
Yeah.
out and come see us, and let's celebrate Elvis together. That's
Yes.
what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. And thank you so much for playing such a huge role in that. I know it's going to be great, and I cannot wait to see you. And
I can't wait. I can't wait.
you made my whole day, you made my whole week, and I love
Oh,
you so
I
much.
love you. I love you so much, and thank you for everything that you do.
Ah,
Yeah.
ditto. Right back at you. I'll talk to you soon, Natasha. Thank you so much for today.
Okay. Thank you, Mary.
See
Take
ya.
care.
Bye bye. Take care.